Hi, everybody. This is Darian Wigfall, Director of Operations for FarFetched. I'm here with Jonathan Toth from Hoth. Say what's up.
Hey, my name is J-Toth from Hoth,
Hey, Toth.
broadcasting live at 2.3 million feet above the city of St. Louis, Missouri, from the frozen food section, and grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let me know what your reaction was with the news with COVID-19 and all the stay-at-home orders and self-isolation and all that. How did you react?
Well, I am a conspiracy theory writer, so I went through a couple of questions or possibilities. The first one I considered was, oh, Bill Gates' agenda could be possibly realized. After all these years, he's been lecturing about there's going to be a pandemic soon. There's going to an event is going to happen.
Mm,
So I considered that he probably got his agenda through. I also considered there'd been a lot of warnings from these random scientists about 5G
mm.
poisoning,
Yeah, I saw one of
which
those.
was from the ones I believed was tracing it back to the Spanish flu of 1918,
Mm,
and the doctors then not finding any trace of any kind of flu per se. They saw people sick and dying, of course, but they could not transmit it to certain people. And after trying to transmit phlegm from sick people to healthy people that were for flu resistant, they
wow.
finally, the ones I believe, found that it was just the radiomagnetic energy that was raised while they put up the radio antennas in 1918, the
Mm,
beginning of the golden age of radio that went into the 20s.
yep.
Millions of people got sick as a result of just the radiomagnetic energy raising.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just certain people have metals. We all have metals in our body, but some people, especially sick or older people that just have a lot of metal built up in their body.
Mm,
Imagine if you take a magnet to a table full of little metal chips. If you get it close, those chips
mm-hmm.
start to vibrate. Well, that's a lot of people having 5G sickness, according to these scientists. Doesn't mean that's all that's going on, but that was the second thing I was curious about. The third thing was Chinese battle strategy has a lot of plays as far as war games towards
Okay.
America, as America does towards China. And there is a famous book that I forgot to remember the title on that was out that been out for about 8 years, but it basically explains how if China were to attack us, it would be this kind of biological attack. And it was
Mm,
just one version of what they thought could happen. And this, if it is, otherwise, Dinar Kuntz wrote a fun passage back in 1981 about there will be a
81.
flu in Wuhan, China, and be called the Wuhan 400, and it will come in 2020. And to look back at that, and I
Wow.
actually read that book back in the day. I just didn't remember that context until now, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's 2020, and oh damn,
What
that's
was the
odd.
title of the book? Do you remember?
Yes, but I can't right.
We'll put it up on a slide later on for folks to check out the
It's
book.
a meme all over the internet now. It got hot.
Okay,
It got hot real quick.
gotcha.
But fine. To sum it up, then in what I've been looking, likewise considering it as far as what's happening is, if this is an operation, which I believe to be, which Mike Pompeo, our Secretary of State, declared 3 weeks ago, we are in a live exercise. What he called it? That's a
Mm,
military event. That's not just
yeah.
organic happening. That is a live exercise. I mean, you've been trained for this. It's happening now. Here we go. Uh,
Hmm.
and in my opinion, some of the words that are going around, which some of my lawyers actually passed on to me a while back, was this administration has more secret indictments than any administration in history,
Mm,
154,000 at this point. And
Jesus.
the real talk of the town is that it is when the Epstein honey trap was unveiled. Epstein was released by the FBI in 2008. And I remember at the time thinking, why would they release that guy? He's clearly doing something. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that when they released him, they had installed his yachts, his planes, his island with cameras.
Mm,
So for 10 years, from 2008 until 2018, they've been recording the Clintons,
wow.
Clintons,
Yeah.
Prince Andrew. Trump was there prior to that. Whether they got him on camera, who knows?
Mm,
And celebrities, billionaires, great,
wow.
154,000. So what I'm being told is, what I'm kind of believing is, this COVID thing was probably a big pharma operation.
Hmm.
And it was probably too when Hillary was supposed to be elected. And I'm not pro
Okay.
Hillary or Trump. I don't like either of them. But
Yeah.
she's very tight with the vaccination people. And this really looks like a play for mandatory vaccination, because if they would have pimped it right on the media would have played it.
Mm.
Everyone's dying. Then it would have been like, guys, we got to go get vaccinated. We got to go get vaccinations. Everyone's doing it. We got to just do it. Just call it.
Yeah.
Well done,
Similar to how they went to the Iraq War years ago, just like the mania around that.
And so what I personally believe, the more information I'm being fed by people I trust, that Trump basically is rolling with the punch. He came into this operation blind, knowing something's going to happen, but not sure what. And now it's realizing, oh, this is a big pharma op. They're trying to get everyone either vaxxed or ID'd or whatever you want to believe. But now he's rolling with it. And notice, instead of go with the WHO, he defunded them. He said they're not giving us all the correct information. And I'm not a Trump guy, but it really, the more you watch the media and even the government play with this guy, this president, it starts to really look a lot like when JFK was in office and they were all basically kind of banded together against him. And I was raised thinking Trump was a douchebag. All the media I ever saw on Trump was he's racist or he's sexist or he's a cheater or he's a slumlord billionaire wannabe who got all his money from his dad. But I did not know that he was also best friends with JFK Jr.
Oh, really?
And,
well, I guess that makes sense. They're both from New York, Yeah.
Well, whether he was or not, even if he's friends, he knows what they did to his dad, JFK's dad, and JFK Jr. He knows who did it, and most likely their ties. So if we want to go big roundup conspiracy theory, this is the chickens coming home to roost for all the old power, FBI power. A lot of other money power that got played when JFK died, that have been waiting for the right guy to give this Epstein thing to. And
so do you think
only way to put it is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I never was a Trump guy, but watching him go after if he's going after the pedophile elite, and that's what it's being played off as now, pedophiles are getting COVID. 50 pedophile priests died last month. COVID. Just sorry. No investigation. You got COVID. You were a pedophile. You fuck. Sorry, you're dead. So
yeah. So your new album, Def Con Psyops, talks about some of that stuff. Was that sort of inspired by what's going on now, or did you have that in the works already?
Well, here's what's fun in my career, my line of work. If I have a vein of albums and music where I really like to explore, instead of believing the government narrative. There is a point in time where it gets so ludicrous that you go, get the fuck out. That is not what happened. There's no way.
Unbelievable.
And when you watch JFK, the real turning point was seeing the movie JFK, which was Oliver Stone's first real big controversial piece. And he went so all in. He got shut down. What's funny is he's famous now, but back then he got shut down. They weren't playing it in certain parts of the country. It was so weird to think. At the time, that's hype. Who cares? And then when you watch it later and you see when the government lies here and there, then you watch JFK and you go, "Oh my God, this is the tip of the iceberg as far as the lies going on." So with my line of work, I have a vein of music called conspiracy theory rap, where it's just me delving into basically my history degree from college and seeing all the things that they don't tell you in college, in high school, in the American educational system.
The official story.
Yeah, the narrative of the government it's like 1% true, 99% completely misleading or red herring here and there. And then, I mean, the easiest way to put it is the first time I found out John Wilkes Booth was found alive in 1906, I believe. Oklahoma sightings in Oklahoma and Kansas, both self-admitted, said, he was on his deathbed giving his last rites. And he said, I'm John Wilkes Booth. They hid me. They put another guy in my casket. They took me around the country, hid me for a while, and I ended up here. And he said this to numerous people, and they took pictures of him. And I mean, when you learn that the Bank of England was who hired the hit on Abraham Lincoln, and the researchers that are in the know, they're like, oh yeah, we all know. It's just the public doesn't know because they don't want to believe any of that shit. So you go through Kennedy, you go through even when Reagan was trying to be shot, it was Bush. It was Bush who tried to shoot Reagan when he was president, so he could go into his place. Regardless, yes. So my music, I really like the first album, 2013. I did Conspiracy Theory, which was kind of like all the older conspiracies going on that I'd learned about through various documentaries, testimonies, evidence, and real whistleblowers that I trust in the conspiracy theory world. And now a lot of them died. A lot of them have been defamed or like chased out, blacklisted. But now the one best part about Trump's presidency is, holy shit, a lot of stuff is coming out. And I was a naysayer until I'm getting all this new info, and it's getting kind of freaky. Like all the stuff that's been hidden is coming out, and God bless him. Not a Trump fan, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and he's letting it come out, and I'm so grateful. So right now, this album that I've been working on, that I just released, it was in the works, and it was done. I was just gonna I like to put scratches in from DJs, and usually you can tell if I'm lazy if I don't have scratches in there. I'm just cutting out stuff. But I love.
Shout out to Crucial.
I love all those guys that just put their signature on it. But sometimes, like this was, I was like, my brain went to. I was here in 2008-9 when the market fell out, when Obama first got in, and they just yanked the carpet from under the economy. That was a terrible year for me. So I got diversified since then. I ended up becoming a marijuana connoisseur that actually got me in jail for a little bit for not waiting until it to be legal. And then now it's legal. So finally we're all good and everything's even better. And now I'm finding myself in a really amazing situation, being diversified in regards likewise with music, t-shirts, skateboard stuff, Airbnb, carpentry. I build tree houses and really like to make money in all the fun ways instead of just job being a job. My work is more signatory, meaningful, custom, like a motherfucker. It's like nobody else is getting this. It's mine. You know?
Right. And it seems like you just basically do what you want to at this point. Maybe there's some things, obviously, in running a business that you may not want to do every time, but like it sounds like you basically built a life where you can basically control your creative spaces and how you spend your time.
I think as an artist, it behooves all of us to don't think in terms of work as slavery, as you have to do it. You have to get a job. You have to afford bills. You have to, if you flip your life into, when I was young, I said that was my outlook. I was like, why the fuck would I ever put my energy into the system? This is crazy. But I noticed you're told that's what it is. It doesn't have to be that, because once I listened to a bunch of gurus, some of my favorites, James McNeil of Phoenix 2000, Oprah often has a bunch of really good, her master class. She has a bunch of really good gurus on there that get to talk. James Redfern, who wrote Celestine Prophecy, Paulo Coelho. Once you start reading how they phrase it, you have to see money as just energy. It really is energy. It's not a piece of paper that's owned by a bank. The Rothschilds. You can go there if you want, or you can also realize you are money. You are so money, and that money is energy. So when you are a happy person and you filled with goodness, and you give your family things, and you help them, and you see how the more you give, you really do get back, and you get that little twist on the phrasing. Money just comes in like crazy. It's really weird. For years, I was more monk-like, where I was like, I don't want a girlfriend. I'm just going to work on that music. I'm just going to be just not. I was so stringent and just like sober. I'm being sober. I'm going to wake up at 6 and work on music all day and like not work and be, I went through a monastic phase, and that's good for change. I also went through how fucked up on drugs can I get phased, just to see, just to
experiment,
draw the line and then step right over it just to see how far I can step over it. And I found that both extremes were interesting, but lonely and not nearly as meaningful as if I'm being good to my kids, being good to my soulmates, and providing, sharing, keeping my issues to myself, in my opinion, being a better father, a better lover, a better person to the world. So for me, especially as a conspiracy theory writer and artist, I look for angels versus demons, I guess. I want angels, builders, not destroyers. I want to surround myself with do-gooders, lovers, hippies, real musicians that study
Yeah.
their craft, that want to make greatness and excellence and paradigm shifts and watershed events that the music world has never heard before. And to be part of that, it means surrounding yourself with loving people that are kind. If we talk shit, we
Yeah.
talk shit. But if it's good, if it's ever geared toward mean, then something's going on. It's always got to be
Right.
fun. If it's funny and fun,
Yeah.
it's good. So
Yeah, that totally. I'm totally into that energy thing. I talked to Justin Raw about that, just us being all vibrating strings and membranes, and that basically breaking down into just energy. There's no real such thing as matter. It's just collections of energy. And so, like, when you surround yourself with people of similar energy, it can be amplified. But if it's like different or negative or how like opposite you, then that can like be counteractive, like you're talking about. And I definitely appreciate you talking about that for sure.
yeah, so like when this all happened, instead of freak, I went right into build mode. Oh, paradigm shift, shit happened, something changed. What a step to it. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So I went right away. Bitcoin dropped, and when Bitcoin drops, you buy as much
Okay.
as you can. So I
Yeah.
went and bought a whole Bitcoin, which at around 5,000, and that already is now at 7,500.
Whew. All right.
There were some other. I went through some crazy weird stuff with the banks. It's weird when you change stuff up; they get all strange with you and wonder what you're doing. So I
Yeah.
had to figure some things out, but whatever. Um, I also the herb is legal now, so it was nice to
Okay.
finally be able to not be paranoid about smoking weed, sharing weed, etc. And
Yeah.
so it was nice to get everyone. Basically now it's become basically a we're doing. Excuse me. There's a term I'm looking for that I know all the time, and it just left my head. We're doing collective bargaining,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
that works really well when herb is finally legal. It's the best thing in the world because it's really American. It's like one of the most American things in the world.
Hmm.
So that's been realizing, and we are also I released all my current conspiracy theory songs, and it was
Mm-hmm.
fun because that's the last thing I just wrote and recorded like last 3 months. And when this all popped off, I was like, this is a sign. I got to release this now. This is perfect
Definitely.
timing.
Yeah.
So, and then I also hired a publicist to release my next release, the
Nice.
Cooler B&B.
Okay.
So I actually get paid on my publishing. And that's Chris Grimes, rapper from St. Louis. He's
Yeah.
also a skateboarder. So he comes over, works with me, does my publishing. I pay him a flat rate, which is really kind of him because a lot of publishing people try to take percentages. And
Mm-hmm.
he's awesome. He's a Robin Hood. He really wants you to learn how to do it yourself. So pay him a flat rate. He just
Mm-hmm.
works there as long many days you want him to work there. It took for me to do a 20-song album, 24-song album, like Cool
Whew.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
It took us about a week of just typing, cutting and pasting, filling in info, cutting and pasting.
Mm-hmm.
Two people, him telling me what to do and him doing it on another computer and doing another branch. Like there's Nielsen digital sound system.
Okay. Yeah.
There's ASCAP. There's
Yeah.
um,
Sound exchange.
yeah, all of these.
Yeah.
He maximizes you. He says it really doesn't cost you much of anything. And when you do it,
Yeah.
every time your shit is played anywhere, you get a piece.
Mm.
So he got me on board because he only had at that point, I think, 4 songs published, and he was making money every month off like 4 songs.
Wow.
And I listened to them, and they were good. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know how many DJs pumping your shit? He's like, no, man, this is just putting it online, releasing it through the sound catalog.
Mm.
And there are people all over the world that go right to that catalog every Tuesday or every week and just see what's new.
Yep.
And that way you're no longer relying on advertising, promotion. It's just here's the catalog every day that comes out with new music.
Okay. So it's just like it's a licensing sort of situation. Okay.
Chris Grinds, I think he's Grindzilla at
Okay.
Grindzilla on Instagram. And
Mm-hmm.
he is a really intelligent kid who also skates really well. So it's fun to work with him because we're 2 birds of a feather.
Yeah.
And he is awesome in terms of he really wants you as an artist to know your rights. So instead of steal, which you'll see how easy it is for any publisher to steal, he
Yeah.
shows you what to look for, what to go through, what to do on your own, and he just guides you through it. That way you can basically be mentored, like basically a paid tutorial. You
Yeah.
give him a moderate amount of cash, and he just goes through what you should do. And then it's a one-time purchase. He's done his work. My stuff's all cataloged. Now I get paid quarterly off whoever listens to whatever gets listened to.
That's awesome. That's interesting. I should talk to him because I do that sort of similar thing, and I know Julian Keaton does it as well. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, with Julian Jules, but there's a few people around St. Louis doing that artist education. I think it's super important because like we got a huge amount of talented people like yourself and other artists that you've worked with and artists that are on FarFetched, but a lot of times they just don't know how to get paid from it. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll give you an important lesson was in 2005 when I worked with MF Doom, and I put out the first time I published anything was my second solo album. I figured I'll publish this. It seemed like the process at the time to get published was a lot of cutting and pasting and typing in info and writing out lyrics. And, you know, that's not what you want to be doing because you would rather be getting high. You don't do it until you realize something's going to hit. And I'm thinking it's doomed. It's going to hit. I'll make plenty of publishing money.
Yeah.
I hand write out the lyrics at that time. I don't know. I think that was an option back then, 2005. Awesome. Sent it in. I was guided on the phone how to do it. Did it all what they told me to do. Called back a year later to find out all the details on my publishing. And a guy told me at first there was no record of me ever being here. And then was like asking me questions. Did you sample anyone? And then I'm like, well, I sampled someone, but I didn't. It doesn't really matter because I flipped it different. And he's like, oh, well, then you probably got yanked, and they get all your publishing because you sampled them, and and I'm like, what is happening here? I did a song with a guy I know will get plays, and you're telling me there's no record of me being there, and I did exactly what you told me on the phone. So I just got on the phone with a lady from LA branch of ASCAP, told her what happened, and she was pretty sympathetic and told me there is now retroactive payments because there apparently was some shenanigans, some tomfoolery and monkey business going on amongst their people that I'm guessing if the guy on the phone was an opportunist, heard me say Doom, all it takes is him to just miss a number, put a number in the wrong place, and suddenly this thing is getting him money into another account because he typed the number in wrong.
Yep.
So who knows what happened? I'm sure we'll find out. But I filed, and I'll find out because that's going to be 15 years of money that I never got. So if and I'm not trying to go huge, but I know I got played public radio, college radio stations, all sorts of play, YouTube, like hundreds of thousands of plays YouTube. So it's just one of those. Who knows what it'll amount to? But I'm optimistic.
Well, yeah. Hopefully you get that money, man. 15 years of royalties could be a nice little chunk of change.
Yep.
That's awesome. And that's a lesson to any artist out there watching right now, just how easy it is for people to steal your music. So go register with the Library of Congress, register with a publishing rights organization, do Sound Exchange, which is basically an online publishing rights organization, and just like keep your records. I know, like you Toth said, it's not fun to do, but it's important for sure.
Yeah, and Chris has even encouraged me to publish everything. He says, you just don't know what's going to hit. He said, I've got friends that they made a beat and one town in Nairobi, Africa, like listened to it 10,000 times. And he doesn't know why. He doesn't know why, but it just suddenly he's getting a check for, $50 one month just because somebody did that. And he said, it's just, you don't know what's going to hit. So when the Ghost World saga occurred, I was so down, man. I was so like, you gotta be kidding me. So I didn't publish anything. I just relied on hand-to-hand sales, digital downloads, consignment in stores like Vintage Vinyl and other ones around Chicago like Reckless Records and a couple other ones I'm forgetting right now, but LA and New York too, a bunch of other artists that put stuff in with theirs. And I've made decent money, but publishing money is so much bigger. It's so much more reliable. Yeah. So now Chris encouraged me to publish everything I've ever released. So I'm basically sitting on 1,000 songs of stuff that I only released about 250 of them. But the rest are just stuff that were, either, B material or just never developed enough, or stuff that we were really into, and then I didn't know how to sell it, so I just never decided to release it. A lot of gems, for sure, a lot of gems. But there's a fun story I learned once, a parable that I was told, where a college professor was grading his ceramics class, and as an experiment, he decided to divide the class up 50-50 and say, this class half will be graded on the quality of your pots, and this half will be graded on the quantity of your pots. So for an entire semester, one half of the class was graded on the amount of pots they could make, cranking out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pots. The quality pot was going to be graded on one perfect pot that had to be the ideal, amazing, interesting, intricate, original pot. So a whole term, these two groups did this. What do you think happened?
I would feel like the half of the class that was graded on quality, maybe some of them never finished because they were so hung up on, having the best pot or whatever.
Exactly.
And then the people that were doing it for quantity, maybe, not every pot was the best, but there were some in there that were like really fire or something like that.
The people of the quantity side started mediocre and got usually pretty good. And the people that started good ended up really good. So by the time that their pots are done, they made shit that they never would have made in their entire life, because they were just cranking them out and making different things and this and experimenting and doing this. So they made thousands of pots and they became masters. The quality side, you start out as thinking you're a master and trying to judge and trying to gauge what is perfection, what is this perfect, how do we make this perfect sheen and this perfect, and you spend so much time over analyzing that you don't ever get any process in, you don't ever get the application in. And man, that when I started Frozen Food Section, I applied that to my music. Like, I'm just going to crank out as many songs as I can make and just, you're throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. And what I noticed about when I first heard Outkast in an interview, I think in '99, they said they were sitting on 200 Outkast songs they hadn't even released yet. And I was in my mind going, oh my God, how did you do that to us? And I thought, you know what? I want to do that. I want to just have shit in a vault, just sitting there, good, bad, whatever. You'll see the evolution if you have it all. And that became kind of my ethic, as far as I tried to make my ethic to do music every day. One point I got so cocky, I was in probably a bipolar swing upwards. And I'm like, I'm doing this forever, for the rest of my life, every day. Yeah. And it worked great for about a year or two when I was hot, when I was on it. And then when I got depressed and things swung the other way, then it was my mind going, gotta do something with music today. I'd be like, I tried, and then that's it. I tried, and at least I did some music today. Yeah. But I tried to relate, how do I make it sound like I did music today? So I'd whistle up a new tune. But
just to keep it going.
Yeah, and then really the biggest paradigm shift in my life was probably getting in trouble with the law. 3 years ago, I got busted in Maplewood by the DEA and St. Louis County Police for opening up a weed dispensary in 2016 before it was legal. Right. And I had some asshole neighbors. In the end, I found out it was the neighbors around me that didn't like me. My house had been a crack house 10 years prior. And these neighbors saw me having friends, people of color, rappers coming over. They just assumed something weird was going on. So they ended up calling one of their cousins, I believe, was a DEA agent or had seen this, or they called, hey, something's happening. They put a stop motion camera up in their window, looking down onto my porch. and they basically shot anytime movement went by the porch. So it'd be someone, customer would walk in, or client, or recording musician, or friend would walk in. They'd see him go. You see them on this video. They'd go in and then out, and then another person go in and out, in and out. So he's showing all this footage of people going in and out. There's no crime, nothing going bad going on.
Right.
But they went and showed it to his DEA cousin, and it became they've got to be doing something there. So they set up surveillance around that block and ran license plates. And in the end, it ended up getting busted for having 10 pounds of weed. And it was all amazing. It was like a recording studio where I had a lot of weed.
Nice.
And it was fun as hell just to be able to show off, or, share or whatever.
Yeah, have a good time. But
I ended up having to do drug court. So that's basically 2 years of being sober, going to class, learning about how your problem was ruining your life, and adapting to their perspective and their vernacular and their spin on reality of what is true versus what is not true. And what I learned fast was to be against weed prohibition is not in the interest of drug court. So if I ever dissented, wait a minute, weed's getting legal everywhere. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're in here for
because at this time, like, states are falling like flies going legal. Yeah, that's wild.
Dude, it was the worst. It was the weirdest time to be in drug court, because everybody around me is like heroin, crack, fentanyl, coke, meth. And I'm like, weed. And they're like, you're in here for weed? What? And they're all looking at the teacher, and the teacher's like, weed's a drug, guys. And everybody's like, weed's a leaf, teacher.
Right. It's a plant,
So, but on a fun paradigm shift as well, watershed event, I got to be one of the last weed cases in St. Louis to be prosecuted. And in the middle of my sentence, we escalated into new law. So I'm proud to say, in the words of Dr. King, it is our moral duty to disobey unjust laws. I did that shit.
Yeah.
And we got it done. So I was very proud. Very happy.
You're part of the movement, man.
Oh yeah, dude. Now, especially even on my relationship and my family, it's like, it's legal, guys. It's okay now. And everyone's like, okay, cool. Now it's fine.
Cool. Yeah.
It was stressful before.
Now that the authority says it's okay,
Right. Even hundreds of thousands of years of legal weed, and
right.
Last 100, no, it's not legal now. So, but
man, we may have to get into another call, but I do want to ask you about frozen food section, how that started. What's the history with that?
Oh, sure. It was 99. I was tossing around the name, just the idea of it. I like the frozen food section as kind of honestly like a combat to Nelly, because Nelly was hot shit. Everything was hot, and I want to be the opposite. I'd rather be cold as hell, because it's getting on my nerves. And I have nothing against Nelly. He's a great businessman, great musician, and I've seen him around with my people. And when I knew him, or when I saw him back in the day, he was just performing around St. Louis. I'm like, they're kind of north side gangster shit. It wasn't my flavor. And then when he hit, I was like, are you kidding me? That's what here, man. It was. Man, I was trying to come out as, nerdcore J-Toth from Hoth, talking about Star Wars and Star Trek, and at that point I was doing a lot of spoken word, because I just didn't feel comfortable yet. And then when Eminem hit, the stigmatism was Vanilla Ice. I could always rap. I rapped my entire life since the Beastie Boys happened. When Vanilla Ice kind of misrepresented and just kind of mimicked an art form instead of actually being like that, the soul of what he's trying to do. Until Eminem hit, it really all we had was like Everlast was cool, from 92. Even like, Third Base, they had their New York style.
Yeah, they had a little run,
But it really, who made it just normal was Eminem. Like, Tim was kind of more of a Detroit kid. He was like, okay, this kid not only is good, but he knows what he's doing, and he found his soul. So when that hit, then I was like, oh fuck, I got to get on ball, because I wanted to be rapping, years before, but you never know how to really start when you're a kid. To like, you got to ask around, ask embarrassing questions, and But anyway, 2002 released. Finally, I got sober in 2001 as a dare from some of my chemical abuse friends who were dealing with healing over meth abuse. They were roofer laborers, and
Mm-hmm.
they had me come to some meetings just to check it out. So I got sober from weed originally in
Okay.
2000, and I did my first album, Brainwashing. That happened. I realized we should put the label together now. So developed in '99, first product release in 2002,
Mm-hmm.
and the latest release was this at DEF CON PsyOps conspiracy kind of album, as well as I just released Cooler B&B on iTunes and Google Music and the other big guys.
So yeah, man, what are some of the things that you're doing to, or well, let me ask this first. How has the COVID-19 and like stay-at-home orders kind of affected how you move or anything like that?
Well,
Get out and about.
first and foremost, I am an essential worker.
Mm.
So as a roofer, I was curious, do I need to carry around a bill of sale or a roofing invoice? I thought it was safe to keep my ladders on my vehicle just in case they were curious if I was essential or not. But I was told by some of my higher up friends that the cops and police they don't want to touch people. They're not interested in pulling over anyone. And they also have been given a stand down order on everything except murder and severe emergencies. So they're basically no speeding tickets right now. No one's getting pulled over for anything.
Wow.
Even theft for the most part. It's being they're just taking a report. They're not going after criminals.
Huh.
So I've off the flip, also being a conspiracy theorist, I was like, whoa, we're in a ripe time for political inaccountability. Or unaccountability. So what we're looking at is when a pandemic happens, that does not happen very often. And that means it's time for graft and for corruption and shit to go down. So it's up to you to figure out how to flip it. If you're a presidential administration, you got to figure out quick, what do we do with this opportunity? So what I noticed was here in St. Louis, my first thought was, okay, I'm going to make sure everyone has what they need. I'm going to make sure I can diversify even further if I want to figure out what other things I can sell, what other things that if I need to make money in different ways. So far I haven't. Everything I've got going has been making me plenty of money. So, but I likewise noticed it's really the time for everyone to do that. What do you love? What do you want to make money from? You don't have to think of business as slavery. You don't have to think of it as you have to do it. What about breathing? You don't have to love breathing, but you certainly have to breathe,
Yeah.
And if you can think of business as just breathing, you just did it. It doesn't cost anything. You just did it. You just made money to your breath. I'll put it this way. I went even further. When I visualize, I do affirmations, visualization, prayer, meditation. And one of my favorite things to visualize, and I can't tell you, I've never made this much money in my life until I started doing this.
Yeah.
My vision was I see what I want to buy, and I close my eyes and I envision that with a power almost like the lead hero in the movie Dune.
Okay. Yep.
I can say, whoosh, and all of a sudden money, $100 bills, specifically $100 bills, the blue ones, shoot out my hands all over the thing I'm trying to buy.
Okay.
And it's just one of those visions that it's so easy to entertain myself with seeing myself, just $100 flying out. And I find myself going to sleep thinking about that. And I noticed that money just comes. And I think in terms of, that's the difference. If money is a chore, if it's difficult, and I understand because I've thought of it that way my entire life until I didn't. It's going to be a chore. It's going to suck. It's going to be, you have to. But if you can flip it till you get to, your brain is just a radio transmitter. It'll do whatever you want. So if you realize your brain is an asset, it's like a muscle, just
Hmm.
tune it to a good station. Because
That's it.
if you're tuning into depression, you're going to probably be depressed.
For
But
real.
if you're tuning into like Stevie Wonder all day, you're probably going to have a happy day, just kicking it and jamming.
That's real.
So that's what I've been noticing also is it's time. It's time for people to jump on things.
Mm.
We have had a shift. Something is happening. Either
Yeah.
get on it and get moving and make something new happen, or be stuck.
Get left behind. Yep.
Yeah, and I think it behooves all of us to keep it moving and be inspired right now.
I'm with that. So is your work something that you do right now to keep your spirit alive, or are there other things that you've been doing, like the meditation and stuff like that?
While I was in drug court, what I also learned was I was taking my kids for granted. I was taking my
Mm,
soulmate for granted. And we'd gone through a lot of difficulty because of it. And getting sober is always, for those of us that party harder than we probably should, or haven't figured out moderation yet,
mm,
it's always good to take a break, fast, readjust, recalibrate,
mm.
and consider others and yourself, your true self. Is that really what I want to do? Do I really want to drink another fifth of whiskey
Mm.
that I've been drinking, for months, years,
Yeah.
no break, no day of not drinking? And that's what I noticed for me. For a while, it was too much,
Hmm.
just too much drinking, hard drinking every day and acting like I wasn't drinking hard. So having that noticing, taking that time out, it just gives you a chance to say, do I really want to be that? And when I watch my girl and my kids
Yeah.
look at me totally different, like, oh man, you're so much nicer now. And I'm like, not really that bad. Damn, man. This.
Yeah.
And then months later, you're going, oh, fuck. I definitely was aloof and not really interested in anyone and just watching a lot of movies in my studio.
Just kind of like avoiding people. Yeah, it's funny how we get into loops and don't even realize how it's affecting us or other people around us, and just like we just stay in it because we've been doing it for so long. It's wild. Uh,
Yeah. The other nice thing right now, gas prices are low. I mean, this is
yeah.
this is wild. Gas prices are low. I mean, what I love also is about in all the neighborhoods of St. Louis I've been. I have not seen any quarantine really. I've been seeing more people out on the road walking. Forest Park's like a fucking zoo. How many people are out?
Yeah, for
And,
real.
and to me, that's telling that even the public's like, they're not telling us something. This is
Right.
not all
Something's
the
off.
all the information. So after all this is done, and we get caught up in our where we want to be in our dreams, my
Hmm.
girl and I we're very much into likewise visualizing and affirmations, and we
Mm-hmm.
do even our prayers before we go to bed. We do 5 big ones.
Okay.
We are falling deeper in love.
Mm,
We bought our dream home. We are building our dream.
okay.
We are making more money than we can spend.
Yeah, that's a
We're
good one.
holding space for our children so they can find their purpose.
Mm,
And we are making our neighborhood better than we found it. And
wow,
with contagious positivity and outrageous possibility.
man.
And we are being our best selves, filling our bodies full of only love because our bodies are our temples.
Mm,
So we just try to do that on our way into dreamland.
yeah.
And once all this is done and we're back situated and get our deck done and get my Airbnb finished and
Hmm.
operating, I'd like to take her to Italy to
Nice.
to walk the Camino de Rome. It's a holy pilgrimage trail from
Hmm,
northern Italy all the way down. You could take it all the way down to Sicily.
okay.
And I did it back in 2001 summer. I went across Spain. I walked from Pamplona all the way to Santiago, Spain's 500 miles.
Hmm.
Took us 3 weeks to walk 500 miles.
Wow.
And I would love
Wow.
to walk down Italy with my soulmate of 15 years. And
Yeah.
it's walking is boring until you walk through our country where you've never been, and it's all famous statues and churches and shit. And
Yeah.
and you just decide, let's have wine at this house. And you walk, you knock on a door, and someone goes, see, and you then manja, and then
That's awesome.
they give you food. It's the craziest country. You just go to these like these little houses, like people in these like neighborhoods, alleys with doors open. You can smell the food cooking. No
Okay.
sign, no restaurant, just a house.
Huh.
If it smells good, you go in and ask.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's just a cultural difference, or are there like houses that are specifically on the trail for that?
The way it was described to me by some friends was it is really a culture of showing off one's ability to cook amazing food, and
Mm,
it's meaningful, it's heartwarming, it's a mama thing to feed, and
yeah.
you got a lot of women, men that just they have this open kitchen. You come in, you like some, you give them some money, they give you some food, and they
Sweet.
make extra money doing that.
That's what's up. So, coming out, well, you mentioned coming out of this. Do you think anything positive will come out of everything that's going on right now?
The big one really is evolving,
Mm,
evolving to basically first and foremost your personal evolution.
yeah.
You right now is the time just to if you haven't been stretching, if you haven't been exercising, go out and exercise, man. You got if you're especially if you're not an essential worker, you're not getting much movement. This is the time
Hmm.
to be doing like, oh yeah, I can walk every day. Oh yeah, I want to skateboard. I still
Yeah.
skateboard, don't I? Even though it's been years.
Yeah. I
Uh,
was gonna ask.
and and I think right now it's perfect time for you to find your chi, find your purpose, especially purpose. We keep trying to explain that to our kids.
Mm,
You are going to feel insecure. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel depressed if you don't know your purpose. And I
yeah.
think that's almost everyone. I really think it's not just kids.
Yeah. I'm,
Adults are depressed and anxious because they don't know their purpose. If they're doing a job that's unsatisfying and they don't have a passion that they're funding or that they're working on, then I think you don't know why you're here.
yeah.
And it took me years. I mean, really into my almost my 40s before in 20s, the late 20s, I got some things going, but really I still had stumbled a lot, chemical abuse and apathy like a motherfucker. And
Yeah.
then
This world.
you have to explode into what do I want? You know,
Yeah.
what do I want to do? Jesus, what am I supposed to do? What am I, somebody, God, mom, dad, society, art? What am I supposed to do? Tell me, what am I supposed to do?
Tell me. Yep.
So what I think for everyone right now, I think we're seeing not only a personal shift, I really think we're seeing an evolution, planetary
Mm,
evolution.
mm-hmm.
I think the world is realizing now we're smart enough, we're connected. We can click a button and all of a sudden be talking to you in China with no
Right.
filters. That's pretty amazing, you know.
Yeah. Huh.
So I think we're learning that something's got to give now. Our governments are being pretty stringent on a lot of things that they shouldn't be being stringent on. And I think
Yeah.
it's time to figure that out now because it's a good time when everyone's kind of thrown off kilter
Mm-hmm.
and we can have some real discussion. I also think our government evolution and our collective health are seeing things to be
Yeah.
addressed. I think our government is, whether you want to believe, there's a lot of poison going on up there and they need to figure it out. We need to figure out
Mm,
if we need to evolve, if we need to burn the motherfucker down,
mm,
if we're
for
going to do
real.
democracy 2.0 finally. It's been on the same goddamn version for a long time. It could be time
That's
to
real.
update. And I also think wealth. I think everyone will be getting a lot more wealthy soon.
Mm.
I think collective wealth is having a comeback.
Yeah. Collective economics. Yeah.
I notice I really only want to do business with people that are awesome. I don't
Yeah.
want to do business if you're a douche. I don't want to do business. That's not how I do business. And I would never,
Right.
ever want to put capital towards you if you're an asshole. So,
Good point.
so I think St. Louis is good for it. I don't know if you notice that in our own personal economy, but
Hmm.
the St. Louis economy is based around kind of the show me state attitude of show me if you're a good guy or show me if you're a bad guy. And
Yeah.
I'll remember if you did good
Right.
business or if you didn't. And I also think that the St. Louis specifically is good, what I call the currency of longevity.
Hmm.
St. Louis, your reputation really matters here because
Hmm.
if you're golden, everybody really calls you. Everybody tells them, hey, that guy knows what he's doing. That guy will shoot you straight.
Hmm.
You fuck people over in St. Louis, that spreads like wildfire.
Oh yeah.
And
Quickly.
it is a dangerous thing to do bad business in St. Louis.
Hmm.
So I find I do my best. My clients love me and they tell their friends and family about me. So
That's it.
for roofing, that's what my dad taught me was just be your best at your craft.
Hmm.
And I also try to apply that to music. Try not to half-ass things or freestyle everything. I try to put my best in
Some thought into it.
achieving of triple entendres and harmonies and fun beat shifts and changes
That's
and to
awesome.
be really as creative as possible. So I would just pass that on to everyone is especially with this generation of youth like my children who really invest a lot of just sitting down and typing on a computer,
Yeah, in front of a screen.
which is fine. You can be a master at that too. But I think there's more to it than that. But I would love to be
Yeah.
proven wrong.
Man, thank you so much for this. There was so much. Everybody that's watching, there was so many gems. Talk just dropped, especially about the affirmations. One of the ones I love the most is "Money comes to me easily and effortlessly." But I'm
Yeah,
gonna probably use that $100 spewing thing that you just talked about. But also registering your music and like being conscious of who you're around and like who you surround yourself with, whether you're doing business or not, just like socially.
sure.
um, Man, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you said today.
Yeah, yeah. I was good. I was a pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah, man. Let people know where they can find your music or get in touch with you or whatever you want to plug.
Sure. Easiest place for any kind of track that I have for sale is Jonathan Toth from Hoth.bandcamp.com. And for the projects on Instagram is mostly more skateboard related, but I do have music stuff there. It's Instagram.com/coolerbnb. And then you can find me on YouTube just searching Jonathan Toth from Hoth. And Twitter is at Jonathan Toth. But also, my main page is thefrozenfoodsection.com, where all our music is. So if you just want to come listen or buy stuff from there, thefrozenfoodsection.com is our record label.
Word. Thank you so much. Everybody go out and check the music out. Check out the skating videos. Definitely check out the new project, DEFCON PsyOps from Jonathan Toth, J-Toth from Hoth. And yeah, until the next time, you can find anything from FarFetched at wearefarfetched.net.
Sure. Thank you so much, Darian. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jana. Thank you, Sean. You guys have an awesome, amazing day.
you too. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
All right. I'll see you.
See ya.